We are live with another episode of Commercial Roofing Radio. And today I've got a very special episode. Not only do I have Cam here, but this is a live in-person episode. It's only my third one so far, so I love it, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, pleasure to have you with me here today. How are you doing today, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
It's day after 4th of July, Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. Yeah, 4th of July was yesterday, man. It was crazy.
Can't complain. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, Cam's been in the industry for a couple decades at least, maybe 100 years. I don't know. You wouldn't be able to tell by this perfect complexion. But he's actually been in a long time, has a ton of experience in the game. Very well loved and respected by just about everybody because he does things the right way. Tons of experience with commercial roofs. If you've seen somebody with a commercial roof out there, chances are this guy's probably been on it. You know, he's almost everybody's first call when they got a big commercial roof. So we got a lot to talk about today, Cam. But I want to get started with where we typically get started. How did you get started into the roofing industry? What brought you in it?
Well, I've spent a lifetime in, construction. My father owned a small general contracting company back in the 80s, 90s, and then always did, side jobs on the side, when he moved on to other things. So it was always a part, I did, my first jobs was carrying shingles, probably like you, carrying shingles up and down, a ladder and trying to prove your worth and one day getting two, bundles on and being a skinny, scrawny, 14-year-old kid going up and down a ladder and then graduating to the, holding, the old school Home Depot aprons full of nails. We didn't have the nail guns back then, or at least we didn't. So that's really how I got started as far as just always loving construction because I was always a part of it. And then I'd say about 13 years ago, it was my buddy Reagan owns a construction company, Correct General Contracting down in Texas. And they do roofs. They do a lot of foundation repair. So he pulled me into it and really introduced me to the insurance recovery side of that. And that was about 13 years ago. And worked my way through the, rigors of multiple different, companies from Texas and Oklahoma as well. Just like schools. I went to 15 different schools growing up and I probably worked for 15 different roofing companies. So I've learned a lot from being a sales, just a door knocker, a sales guy, sales manager, project manager. So like you said, I, kind of have been able to do it almost all. And I've just been fortunate to learn from some great, roofing company owners. There are some, regardless of what, may be out there on the social media, there are some really great roofing contractor owners out there that have just poured into me. So. Yeah,
people need to give them more praise. We talk about the bad guys all the time, but what about the good guys, man? Let's back up a little bit. Your early days, hanging out with your old man, carrying shingles up the ladders, nailing roofs. So how did that go? Was it like hot, smoldering hot day in Arlington, Texas, and you're like, I just want to be a roofer the rest of my life? What was it that made that? Was it being free, or did you just? No,
man. Back then, there was, aside from always wanting to, be like my father, just kind of a jack of all trades, whether, he could take apart an engine block to, build a house. I wanted to be that and be, who he was for the community and for his people. He was the go-to guy. He was the guy that would just, would repair someone's AC when they were down on their luck and they had kids in the house. That was my dad. He was like the brown Santa Claus. But that wasn't like in my mind, like, oh, one day I'm going to be a badass roofing, insurance restoration guy. Wasn't a part of it. I wanted to be a rock star.
Just helping everybody. And if you know Cam or if you don't know Cam, that sums him up. I mean, he's out there helping everybody every way possible. So he is our little brown Santa Claus. I love that. Was there any areas of, it sounds like your dad was general construction into everything. And even you mentioned cars. Was there anything else that you like better than the actual roofing? Did you hate the roofing, or when you were helping out?
The roofing was miserable, of course. Hot. Yeah. Arlington, Texas, miserable during the summers. And of course, during the winters, you can have those crazy ice breaks where it's just freezing. You feel like you're in Alaska or something. That was miserable. I think the best thing that I've liked about any industry I've been in has just been the people.
Yeah.
And the effect that you can see when you find somebody who has a real need, a pain point, and that you can fulfill that. And it's a process that you see develop really relatively quick. And you can see the fruits of your labor and really see the appreciation and that they're just in a better place. And I just love that always because, that's, again, what levitated me towards people was my dad and just the relationships he had with everyone. Didn't matter what you had in your pocket or, what car you drove.
Wow.
Everyone loved him.
I love that. What about, so as you're going those early years and you're helping your dad out and your dad's helping a lot of other people, what about commercial? So this is Commercial Roofing Radio. We like to talk about commercial. Were you out helping on commercial? I think you've told me before your dad's position at work was something in regards to commercial.
Yeah, multifamily was his.
We love multifamily.
Yeah. So that was a huge proponent as I got older. Funny enough, he was a maintenance supervisor for a large Tipton. They're out of Texas. And in fact, I think they're nationwide, but they own a ton of multifamily complexes, and he would have to go to the trouble complexes that had the worst maintenance crews, the worst, reports of everything, high expenditures for, HVACs, always going down. So he was the guy that would have to go in, and he was usually the ghetto, and get rid of everyone, hire a whole new team, and then just fix everything and get it up to par so then they can get sold, and acquired or whatnot. And so the management was always like in apartments, they're always changing management and ownership, maybe the same internal, but it's always, flipping names or whatever. I got a chance doing make readies. That was part of my job. Sometimes I'd get in trouble, didn't really realize this, but I get in trouble on purpose, just to get out of school because I knew my dad, and I didn't have to get my butt whooped. But I get to go spend the day with my dad. He had a shop that was just like as big as this place. Everything was immaculate. I could go in there and build anything, and then get to spend the day with him doing make readies. He'd send me off doing the make readies, and then I'd get to get on roofs with him on big 3-4 stories where we're using scissor lifts and stuff to get up. So that was just always a part of it. Inspecting roofs with him. That was usually the first stop. We're going to fix this top down. We got to seal everything up before we fix the interior, or it's going to be, just a nonstop Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. Multifamily commercial's always been, a part
it's of like where you started almost.
Yeah.
You did say one thing that I love. I'm a father. You're a father. That's probably a new goal in my life now that you said it is I want my kid to skip school to spend time with me. Like, that's cool. Get an ass whooping, whatever it is. Just go out, skip school, do bad in school so you can spend time with me.
It was worth it, awesome. And I because the pain goes away. Of course, you do that this day and age, you'll get roasted.
Oh, no, I spank my son. He acts up. He gets
and there's only a few times, like, I can only remember my own son, who's now 16 and just about as big as I am. I was just bored at school.
Yeah.
And I love my dad so much that I just wanted to be around him. And he did work so much. Like I know, like both of us, we're all around this country sometimes in the front lines of, horrific and crazy damage. Like, here in Colorado right now, just crazy storms, one after another. And that can be taxing on the kids. And there's times where my dad had multiple jobs and my mom, just to make ends meet there at times. And so that's how I became a really good cook. Self-sufficient and always, trying to contribute and be a part of the team.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I do these so people can get to know you and get to know the business, but it's also commercial. There's a lot of tips and tricks that comes with commercial. Somebody like yourself that's an expert, like that's not just derived just off some book you read. That's your life. And it all accumulates to who you are today. I think relationships is a big part of that. I always say relationships, commercial sales especially, is all relationships.
Sure is.
So where does relationship start? It starts with your parents, man. Like, it starts spending time with them and how you do that. I think for you to go that extra mile, want to spend time with them, that just, again, goes back to your character, which builds at how great you are in commercial sales today. That's pretty awesome, man. So let's go ahead. So throughout construction, growing up, did you jump right into roofing, or did you do some other stuff in your life?
I did some, whether it was carrying sheetrock into new builds, that was probably my most hated job ever. Where the forklift that, they just drop. Sometimes they drop it in the middle of the house, and then you have to carried it upstairs and a couple 100 pounds. So from doing that stuff to digging trenches, French drains, all of that I've done. I've gotten dirty, but then also the sales side of it. So as far as 13 years ago when I jumped into it, yes, it was sales right off the bat, and it was a mix of luckily residential and commercial. So I got to start building and fine tuning, asking the questions to the guys that because once you get into it, you realize I put in this much effort for residential and get this out of it. And it's so many headaches, it can be so emotional. And then with commercial, big projects, usually very complex, but usually that sales process, the conversation and the emotion is usually taken out. It's very logical, black and white, and can make, of course, bigger financial gains, of course. And which led me to I need to know more because they can be so more complex, and the different systems. There's so much to know. That it just, thank God I did. I kind of, was coached, and my buddy over at T-Town Roofing, coached me to, start teaching me about metal, about different, whether it was EPDM, TPO, and taking me on these projects and just, teaching me how to ask the right questions to the adjusters. So it's just been a nonstop learning process. And that's one thing I can tell, guys, I get the question all the time, how do I get into commercial cam? And it's just like anything else. It's the relationships, and it's the relationships at every level. And I think that's one thing working with my dad, even though on the totem pole, he wasn't the highest, but he was the guy that got shit done. And that's why he was, just kind of the wolf, the clothes, they put him in there because they knew he was hardcore. He was old school. You either, towed the line or you get out.
Get out, man. Work your ass off, man.
Yeah. But of course, I've learned as a roofer, getting into commercial, learning the relationships with the guy who's mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
And the maintenance guy, understanding who that they actually have some of the better relationships, the longer relationships, because management may flip, but the boots on ground that are actually there nonstop and have all the experience with those facilities, they know those maintenance records like a son of a gun, and they know who is the decision maker. You can make friends with them really quick, a lot faster. That conversation can be a lot more organic and less intimidating. And then they can get you right in through the back door, literally through the back door. School districts, big downtown commercial. And so it's all been just relationships.
Perfect, man. It's funny. A lot of people talk about gatekeepers and this and that, and they don't think about the maintenance person. I think some of the biggest jobs I ever sold as a roofing contractor, I got through the maintenance guy or the maintenance supervisor. And you just work your way up, and that's a huge way to do it. I like how you talk about residential and commercial in the same breath. So many people, residential, commercial, I want to get into commercial, I only do residential, and the pros and cons of it. I mean, my thing is I love helping people. I do. I love that about residential, and you're truly helping that person. But at the same time, you said something great, the emotions behind it. Mm-hmm. It becomes really tough when it's their home, and it's like one little mistake and it's a big, big deal. It's life altering, life ending to some people. And that can be stressful. So I would say there's a lot of things about residential that is tough. It's funny. We were on the show not too long ago with Paul Reed, and on the show, I think he said multiple times about how he was never going to sell residential again. And like a week later, the storm in Denver hits, and he's like all over Facebook, best residential storm ever. Come on out. So it's hard to get away from.
Sure.
My moral
and you know what? An old, one of the old guys that, brought me up in the industry, told me, he's like, hey, Cam, because I was really hungry for a commercial. And he saw, hey, dude, chill out, pump your brakes. He said, residential pays the bills, keeps the lights on. Commercial buys the toys. He was an old school guy, and that's kind of how he looked at it. And because I think that's true. Is there commercial operations in roofing that are just solely commercial? Yes, and it's taken them a long time and some big moves to get there, to be able to focus solely on that. And there's a great avenue for that. But with residential, you're always tripping in to commercial. nonstop.
Always.
Whether it's, a guy that owns 50 rental properties and is like, oh yeah, Cam, I also got, this policy over here. And you look at the schedule and it's like 30 locations and it's this 80-year-old man and they're all, shopping centers that he's owned since the 70s, 80s, and it's like, holy crap, never judging a book by a cover. Yeah. That's what, residential will just build and grow those relationships.
It does.
If you treat them right, they're always going to open a door to commercial that you can just dive right in.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're working high-end residential. So that's a big tip that I always tell people is like, you want to get into commercial, start with high-end residential.
Yeah.
High-end residential are typically wealthy property owners. Yeah. And those people typically have businesses and businesses own property.
Yeah. Or they're at least in the C-suite of their organization, which are decision makers, which can get you onto those properties. Once they see the value that you're able to add as a, very intelligent, versed, insurance guru in the roofing industry or as a PA or using it as a law firm, what doesn't matter. Again, you're right. Getting into that high end is going to get you faster. It's going to get you through those gatekeepers and it's going to get you to decision makers. So you're definitely right about that.
So let's talk about specific projects. So when you were roofing, selling commercial roofs, is there any specific project that you're like, that's the one I like talking about? Or wow, that was the worst one I've ever done.
In Tulsa, I worked for a guy named Randy Turley. Really good dude. He got me really kind of pushed me into commercial, like project managing. My first time was some large commercial right when they're about to rip tear the roofs open. So it was very intimidating and scary at first. But I think to look back, all the very multi-layered, where you can't even see what the deck system is, built up, layer on top of course, those are fun because the line item goes up. But I love the dynamic ones to where you have to bring in crews like cranes. I'll tell you, my favorite one was working with D&G Roof Systems out of Texas.
Texas.
Great people. We did a downtown Fort Worth build right on Main Street. The insurance wanted to only pay 40 something grand. And granted, it's a small, little mod bit roof, but it's all the way up at the top of a damn building, downtown, which means we got to shut down the actual downtown. We have to get a barricades, traffic whole, plan of, bringing guys to, stop traffic whenever the big crane comes in. Cause it's not just a regular crane. It's got to be the giant crane because we're going up, and then over, which of course, the math of that gets crazy of, can it handle those multiple thousand pounds of, it's not just going up, but now it's got to go over. So those dynamic ones are scary as hell. It's butt puckering. If one thing goes wrong, multiple people are going to die. Those are so scary. But that one right there, afterwards is this sense of accomplishment. So you step away and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was a part of that. That was dynamic. That was cool. That was some exhausting. Your brain is just always moving, problem solving every moment, it seems like. So I'd say that downtown Fort Worth one was a really great one. And then there in Tulsa, we did a ton in West Tulsa. And they're just those old big roofs out there in the industrial complexes out there. There's a lot of discontinued products out there. There's a lot of degraded, dilapidated stuff. So a lot of care, a lot of machines, a lot of safety OSHA stuff's required. So those usually end up being my favorite. I, hate them when it's happening because they're scary and there's
it's stressful.
So many things that are riding on you as a project manager. But when they're done, you have a lot of appreciation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I've always wanted to do a downtown skyscraper. I think I was telling you the other day, Denver just got hit, and at National Claims Advisors, we got something that we might get and be able to help out the policyholder with. But man, that's really cool. So tell me more about that. Were you tell me about how you got that one, how D&G got that one? That's pretty cool.
Well, Jason Nimitz down there in Fort Worth with D&G Roof Systems, talk about relationships.
Yeah.
He reminds me of kind of like I don't know, he's definitely a stoic, can do anything, but walks into a room and just the room lights up.
Yeah.
He was always hard on me about the customer experience. He's so insanely about the customer experience and his relationship, his network, because he would give me leads. And this is a lesson, when I was, in the sales / project management side of it in the commercial with him. We did some dynamic, cool, projects with the Duralast. He put me through the Duralast training, which was really awesome. But with him, the relationships and the amount of care that he impressed upon. That's when we started using AccuLinks. And he made it, like you need to be taking notes, taking pictures. You don't leave that curb until everything is in AccuLinks. You set your follow-up reminders because this customer experience has to be so fluid and that it with so much care because 100% of his business is referral, 100. And it's awesome, those relationships and what the doors can open.
People don't understand that. Like, think about your day. Like, how many things do you purchase a day? Like, a lot. If you're a normal person, your gas stations, grocery stores, food, beverage, or just random stuff you're purchasing throughout the day. How good does that customer experience need to be for you to refer something else to it? Much less go back to it. People lose that customer experience. And that's huge about that.
Yeah, because in the process of, doesn't matter if it's a residential or commercial, doesn't matter if it's a hurricane or a hailstorm. There's going to be things that go wrong because businesses are all run by human beings and we're not perfect. Things slip up, supply and demand, whatever's going on in this crazy country around the globe, it affects especially our industry on a daily basis. It's like the stock market. 1 minute supply's there and the next minute it changes everything. So you have to be able to handle those challenges on the fly with grace. Slow it down, don't get flustered, understand it's part of the process is, that journey and being able to take a client, a customer, and during that journey, that experience, it may get bumpy, but you're there every moment answering your phone, whether you have good news, no news, or bad news. That counts so much because it may be going through hell. Maybe you get a freak storm that comes in and you flood their route, because your emergency repair didn't hold up. But you adapt to it and you can carry them through that experience, through that movie with the character arcs, basically, and come out of it with referrals. When you can do that, man, that is magic. Yeah. When it's, you don't want it to be all just perfect. When it's just always, just like in life, they want, get into commercial, they just want it to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Yeah. You're going to learn some pretty hard lessons and you're going to want to learn those lessons, pretty early on. So they stick. And that's, the customer care, the client relationship and just those relationships, the networking, it means everything. Yeah. Everything.
There you have it. Take care of your customers, take care of your clients. Yeah. Answer the damn phone.
Yeah. I don't know. And take care of your people. Yeah. What's the guy that owns the Virgin airplanes? I'm sure there's a million quotes out there.
Richard or
Bronson. Yep. Yeah. Where, you take care of your people will take care of your business and your business interests in you. Yeah. And I've seen that 100% in the roofing industry, that the clients that you're working with, sometimes those projects take a long time. And if you're not treating your salesmen, your project managers, your crews the right way, they see that. Oh, yeah. And I've gotten so many opportunities because they didn't want to ever work again with that person again. But they saw me and they knew what my, my execution and work ethic was and what they just saw me as who I was. Yeah. And then gave me opportunities. So take care of your people. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do that too. Like I'll not necessarily judge a person, but I definitely observe how a leader treats the people beneath them. And it makes a difference whether I ever want to work with them in the first place or again. So
or be their friend. Like if I can't, this is business. You know, it's black and white. It's numbers. Yes, we want to take as much emotion out of it, but to have real relationships that last forever to where they're literally say, hey, I've got $100 million job. I want you to take a look at it. That's trust.
That's trust.
Because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of responsibility when someone manages a portfolio like that, or $1 billion portfolio, and they're entrusting you, that's a lot of responsibility. And you need a great team that you can trust and a leader that you can trust, because I've seen great opportunities dwindle.
And better deals always come along.
Yeah,
I mean, even in roofing, I would talk about how our salespeople, like, did we pay them great? Absolutely. But any one guy that pulls up to the supply house is going to offer them double. You know, how many times you've sat at a supply house and somebody's like, I'll give you this and that. Yeah. And if it was just about the money, they'd leave every single time. Mm-hmm. Every single time.
Sure.
And again, relationships, business, it's all the same. So whether it's a relationship with the people that work for you or a relationship with the people that you do work for, they can't find better deals. So you treat them the best way possible, and you truly take care of them, give them that great customer experience, and they're going to come back to you. And they're going to be loyal to you, whether you have the best price or not. Yeah. You know, even if you're the highest price. So that's huge, man.
Yeah. Everyone's replaceable at every level.
Yeah.
You know, as an owner, as a salesman, as a referral partner, you are replaceable. So you make sure you're doing your part. And I'm not a perfect person in the roofing industry. You know, coming up in it, learning some hard knocks and learning just the value of following through and just doing what the hell you say you're going to do will amplify your reach to people are just going to want to see you succeed and help you. And my phone out of nowhere will just ring. It'll be someone I haven't spoken to in years. And it's like, here's like open a little suitcase of The Shining, like in what is that? Pulp Fiction, just that glows. Like, what is in that box? And just,
it's funny you say that. Like, when you're the brown Santa Claus, everybody's going to come to you, right? Because you're going to help them. Yeah. But that is the best feeling in the world, having somebody from maybe a different life, from past, or a friend of a friend call you and ask for help. Yeah. Just so happens that we help people. We make a lot of money doing it, but that's not what it's for. It's just that feeling that you're the guy that they come to for help.
Yeah, it's a bigger,
that's amazing.
And the stress level can go up because there is living up to that.
Yeah.
Because people are going to build you up, sometimes put you on a pedestal that we're just, a human, and you just got to know your role, do your part. Follow through. It's actually the basics, just like in,
it's pretty simple.
My time in the military, man. It's the basics that get you there, and it's the basics that are going to get you home. And same thing in sales, in business. You try to get to all high speed and thinking you're the shit and forget about the basics.
You get humbled real fast.
Yeah, real quick. And it's the basics of business, the basics of humans. Excuse me. I'm sure I made that sound like crap. But basics of relationships are going to get you really far.
I love it. So what was that next step? So you're conquering this roofing thing, bounced around to a couple different companies. Texas and Oklahoma, is the only two states that you worked roofing in?
Yeah, and I've done just one-offs, here and there just to go and, whether it was Louisiana, way back when.
But you've traveled enough. You've worked the storms. You know the damages. You know the products. When I met you, you were public adjusting. So what was the transition, or was there anything in between there? Or did you go straight from roofing to public adjusting?
Well, you know what? I took, after years and years of roofing, I took 1 year off and got into working for a SaaS company. Being a sales development rep, setting up demos, teeing them up for account managers for large, C-suite, multi-million-dollar to billion-dollar corporations. And as a reputation management company, consumer affairs, love them. I learned so much during that process about, just your reputation and managing that through referral collection, real organic referrals, and understanding how your brand is a breathing organism that you have to tend to, and you have to respond accordingly. Even the negative, you can turn the negative into positive.
Just respond.
So I took that year off. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about things I didn't even know, but it also taught me, more importantly, that I belong in this industry. Yeah. I missed it. I missed the nonstop. I don't belong in an office all damn day.
Yeah, it's tough.
I just don't. I
don't like being inside at all. I'd rather do this outside.
Because I get to just meet so many people, and they get to see me as a real person, not just a voice on the phone. So that's why I will fly and drive everywhere where I'm needed, because I feel that human connection. Yeah. So I took that year off. It really solidified that I need to get back into the industry that I put so much time, blood, sweat, and tears, and own my own shortcomings with because you get to a point within the roofing and insurance restoration industry where it's a tug of war of like, I hate it, but I love it. and then, but I think the biggest part is owning your part that you played in it, of the part you didn't like about it. And once I did that, it really upped my game to where it's like, there's nothing I can't do. The only thing that was holding me back was me.
Yeah.
So took that year off, got back into roofing sales and project management, and then started seeing that like the old ways of, because I could get a roof bought usually without, I didn't even know what a PA was.
Yeah.
Forever.
Oh yeah.
I never had to use one because, back in our day, we had good supplementers in our office that, we usually try to get everything on the front end, of course, but we had damn good knowledgeable, would get it, every time. But then started seeing like towards my last couple of years of my career, especially during COVID, it was where they just flipped the script. It was just blatant disrespect, disregard, like systemic marching orders to these adjusters, that the adjusters that I learned from, they were old heads, 12, 15 years. They were happy to teach me. And they had an open mind of like, and there wasn't the whole battle with the desk adjusters where the adjuster would write a good estimate and like, that looked great. And then the desk adjuster just denies it out of their systematic denial, delay, deny process. Once I saw that, me being, inside my gut and my soul, a bully beater. That's what my dad called me,
the bully beater.
Yeah. Cause I just going to 15 different schools, you end up, finding yourselves in situations, to where your humor, was like my survival, to fit in. And then that also lended to being a smart ass and then getting in fights. But anyhow, I couldn't stand seeing.
So you want to take down the bully?
I want to take down the bully
that's bullying all these policies.
Yeah. So I knew I needed more power.
Yep.
More ability to communicate about insurance policy and statutes of limitations and such, to hold them to be accountable, to shorten that timeline, that sales cycle for a roofing contractor. So now, like as a PA, my mission became not just the policyholder, but now my brother and sister contractors. Yeah. I get to fight for both of them. It is, because it's true. I feel like that because we go through so much shit, so many ups and downs that I know what they've gone through. I know the insecurities, the days that they just want to quit, but especially when you're 100% commission, there can be some killer days. And when you get into the industry, you're not just like this awesome business owner and understand everything about business. You get large amounts of money dropped in your lap after hard work, and then you can really spiral down if you don't know how to manage that. So getting with good companies that can coach and, give you some good direction, that is very important. I wanted to become a PA to be kind of more of a tip of the spear, and saw some great bullies. Take them down. And I saw some great success off the bat. My first 6 months as a PA, handling over $60 million in claims, but also seeing that, it doesn't matter how much you can sign and close, but what can you, actually successfully get from the carrier? And they still, play those games. And in fact, I really liked your analogy, and it's so simplified that it's just made so much sense to me that when you look at a contractor versus the insurance carrier, the risk assessment of that, the carrier, kind of laughs. There's not much power. What you do get, there are great contractors that do have a good track record. Their book of business and their work is kind of a testimony. So the carriers sometimes do treat them more fairly, I would guess, because they also know that they mean business, and they've got some big guys like us in the back waiting just in case, but even as a PA seeing, there's still a big struggle. For one, there's not enough good PAs out there.
It's not quite a level playing field because they can't hold them accountable. Right? You can kind of report it, but you can't hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. And I can't even take the credit for that. Actually, it was on this show that John Black was the one who said it. And he said insurance carriers are in the business of assessing risk. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens when they look at a contractor, they don't deem it very risky. When they look at a public adjuster, it's a little bit riskier. But then when they look at attorneys, that's risky business. Mm-hmm. And then they even have different tiers of attorneys. They know what attorneys are just paper chasers that are actually willing to take it to trial, that are actually can win at trial. Mm-hmm. And John is definitely one of those that can win at trial. So he can say that all day. Yeah. We can't say that because I'm no John Black, that's for sure. But you made so many great points there. One big thing, it was funny. We used to always say that roofers go into adjusters because they're lazy. Yeah, it's an adjuster. It's probably just a lazy roofer, right? Because they were tired of door knocking. They wanted to get business given to them. I can tell you, you are far from lazy, right? So that's why your explanation actually makes a lot of sense to me, because you are a bully beater. You take up for people. I've seen you multiple times take up for people just in general, just all the time. So the fact that you want to go out and you want to defend the defenseless, because let's put it quite honestly, carriers can't, or policyholders can't really do much for themselves. Contractors can't really do much for themselves. But then public adjusters and lawyers, we can really help them. So let's talk about that, your PA career, right? You've been with a lot of different PA firms, or at least a few different PA firms. You've seen a lot, and you've had a lot of success, as it would be defined in the PA world. Talk about that. How was that? A lot of commercial properties too. Those are always fun if you want to talk about those too.
One thing I'll always, I can never forget where I came from, and definitely, in every industry, you're always going to have your trials and tribulations, your learning, your hits on the chin, that stick with you. But through that, I got the opportunity to become a PA. TJ Ware with Paradise Claims gave me that opportunity, which, I thank him, just the other day for this, because I'm kind of have an out of body experience and really loving where I'm at in life and in my professional career and what I'm able to do now and to help people. So just looking back and being able to give credit to those folk, is, I think, important to me. And, TJ, I know you know him, he's someone who knows just about, everyone out there. And through those relationships, I'm able to meet you and other people within the industry that saw me for me and saw what I was trying to do and gave me more opportunity. So I was able to take, the knowledge from there and the few other firms that I was with. They luckily turned me on to just great opportunity to meet some people, to give me, just on some of the largest claims.
You've been on some big roofs.
Incredible. And whether it's, Hurricane Ian, in Florida, whether, yacht clubs that are, 8 million plus to North Texas. I know we have that claim, still fighting for, it's a big one, $40+ million, multiple different, large facilities with, 17,000 plus, squares of metal, so many facets, of the build, just to build back. It's crazy. So just been fortunate that everywhere I have moved, it's been leveling up.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
and I've been very blessed to be able to do that. Because it's crazy, getting to be thrust into those situations, whether it's a tornado or a hurricane. You're truly seeing people at their worst, with zero hope, and to be able to bring victories to them. It's like you've been through war together.
Yep.
And I can call upon these clients, any of them, and go sit down with them, go to their house, have dinner with them, and it's just like real people that I love and care about. And it's vice versa. It's not fake. It's not just because it was a business transaction. They call me still, and that's what it's about. I'm here on this planet, one go. Yeah. And I'm going to make it count. Yeah. And there's a million different things you can do to make really great money. And this is a great opportunity to grow. And there's so much to know, but there is so much to gain monetarily. So you can provide more assistance to your family, to the people out there, to organizations. So this has just been the best damn thing for me, transitioning to a PA and then seeing, oh, wait, there's still a lot more I can't do, that I need a deeper team. Yeah. Because I want to be able to see those wins faster for people. Because they can get drawn out. I mean, even the commercial gets very emotional too. Oh, yeah. Because those commercial buildings, when they're down, especially,
that's their livelihood.
They employ so many people.
Exactly. It's not just one, it's hundreds. Now, if somebody's out there and you're watching or listening to this and you hit that wall as a roofer, and maybe you've just seen hail, and nothing against hail. I love hail. Right. It's what I came up on, hail damage, and you're helping people. I always have that feeling, that little old lady, and there's a few of those out there that I remember specifically that were in tears after I put on a brand new roof. I had a 20, 30-year-old roof and just could never imagine getting a new roof, thought that they were going to hand their home down to their kids and their grandchildren a shithole, but because we were able to come in and help them. So there's that good feeling, but nothing ever beats the feeling after a tornado, a hurricane, or a fire, and being able to put those people, whether that's a commercial property owner or a homeowner, back into their property.
Yeah.
Like that is heart-wrenching, and that feeling alone. So go out and do that. Go out and help. Go out and give service to those people that need that. And I promise you will get that fire back that you have in this industry. For sure.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of that. So what was your transition? Obviously, this may be shameless, right? You're with National Claims Advisors now. So where was that decision? So how did you transition into that?
Well, for one, it was quite a humbling experience when I became, pretty much I guess what you would call a free agent.
Yeah.
To be kind of, targeted and attacked by an organization on so many different levels, from up, it was really, it made me feel just amazing.
Yeah.
To have you, to have Jason, Sean, Alex, everyone that we're all connected with, they all hit me up, and, it just felt right. And also to know that now I've got like the best heavy hitting team.
Yeah.
Like that is at my disposal. Because it's one thing I've learned, whether it's my podcast, whether it was Denali Loss Consulting, my, residential firm, you're not alone is my, kind of, war cry. Yep. That I want you to know. I want everyone to know you're not alone, whether it's, something more personal or if you're a roofer or if you're a PA or if you're just a policy holder, you're not alone. It does take you having to open up and be vulnerable and accept some help. And that's one thing. As much as I want to leave a legacy behind for my children, whether it's a business that they can decide to do what they want, or tons of land, whether it's Yellowstone, I don't know.
I love it.
But it's hard.
It is.
And especially in this industry, and I only, I don't know how long I'm going to live, and I want to see more victories for more people faster. And I know with what we've got and the team that's behind us, we can make that happen. Yeah. We're making that happen. Yeah. You guys already have had the history. Their track record speaks for itself. So it was just a no-brainer. My heart, my gut, my soul, I prayed about it, and it felt right.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's empowering. I'm out here being able to just, crank homers for policyholders and contractors just left and right out here. And it feels great.
Wow. Yeah. Well, man, it's a pleasure having you. I mean, you amplify everything we stand for, National Claims Advisors. The bully beater. I mean, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this and you hear Cam and his testimony, that's our company. You just described everything about us, who you are, what you stand for, why you do it. That's our company right there. Yeah. We're going to probably sum this up, and here's our core values. Here it is. Just watch this episode.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right. Now we're going to move into my favorite part of all the series. I mean, obviously I love getting to know you more. And I think I know you pretty well, but it's just nice having the conversation again. But Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is pretty awesome. So Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Did you grow up watching it? Were you a fan of it?
Yeah, definitely.
Big Regis guy, or did you not like him, or what do you think?
I'm impartial.
Oh yeah,
because it's all cheesy.
When
it's live TV or the canned applause.
Yep.
It's just
We've got that on the show, so you're getting those
cheesy as shit.
Live spot. Nick, make it extra cheesy this episode. I want applause left and right, laugh tracks. I want it all.
The little heads that pop up.
Let's do it with the crowd right here. Oh man, I love it. So the one thing that makes us different on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire commercial roofing radio is we don't have that live audience. Even if he does somehow put up those fake heads, those are just fake, right? So you get your traditional lifelines, phone a friend, and 50-50, but you do not get the last lifeline, which is which is Ask the Audience.
Okay.
Right? And there's only 4 questions.
Okay.
And you're also not going to win $1 million or really any money. So you just get bragging rights, which a lot of people
You can edit.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get started.
Right.
Who wants to be the name?
All right.
All right, Cam. So you are from Arlington, Texas.
Yes.
I don't know if we got into that. So I am from a small town south of Arlington, Texas, called Waxahachie. So I know a lot about Arlington, but I even had fun Googling it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I'll bounce around and do a lot of subjects, but I got a few questions about Arlington.
Oh, damn.
So this is a cool one. In the 30s and 40s, Arlington was the #1 destination in the country for what?
What was the years again?
30s and 40s. Over the 30s and 40s. It's multiple choice. I'm going to give you multiple choice. So it's either A, stock shows, right? B, gambling. C, sporting events. Or D, speakeasies.
I would say the stock shows.
The stock shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Texas, we got a lot of stock shows, a lot of cattle, stuff like that. And that's what you're going to go with. That's your final answer.
Yes.
No backing up.
That's it.
You are wrong.
Really?
Yeah, so the 30s and 40s, I guess, Arlington was the largest destination in the entire country for gambling.
Really?
Yeah, we had a casino, which is now Arlington Baptist. So the big Baptist church in Arlington was a giant casino.
Downtown Arlington?
Yeah, completely.
First Baptist Church?
First, I think Arlington Baptist University, maybe? Arlington Baptist University, I think is what it was.
Well, damn, I didn't know that because I knew
Al Capone, like all the guys that used to come to Arlington, Texas. It was bigger than Las Vegas.
Really? Because I knew like the area, Arlington is like, a big farmland before.
Farmland in a casino, right? I guess.
I know Galveston too. That was huge for gambling.
Yeah.
Red light district.
There you go. Arlington, Texas. Right. Okay. So another one. Okay. So Arlington, Texas. Obviously home to the Dallas Cowboys, AT&T Stadium. What was the first event ever held at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium? Was it A, a preseason game for the Dallas Cowboys, B, a high school football playoff game, C, a concert, or D, a Jerry Jones hosted party?
High school?
Football game.
Football game.
That's your final answer.
That's it.
No lifelines, no nothing. You're just going to jump into a high school football game.
Shit, I do have a lifeline now, right?
Yep.
Wow. Everyone's probably busy right now. I'm going to go with that.
You're going to go with that. High school football. So it was actually the concert. It was a George Strait concert, The Cowboy Rides Away.
Was that supposed to be his last?
Supposed to be his last concert ever in the
Liar. I remember trying to get tickets for that damn thing, and they gave me the wheel of death. I had like everyone in the office trying to, damn it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on tickets for that.
But then the first Super Bowl was the 2011.
It was like a year or 2 years later.
Yeah. And it got like snowed crazy there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah, the craziest thing about the George Strait concert is I remember I spent a bunch of money on tickets, and he was here like 2 weeks ago in Denver. This was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Dude,
they all do that.
Liar.
Just like Garth Brooks and
Right.
weirdo Chris Gaines.
Okay, here's a cool one. So Kelly Clarkson and John Denver both worked at what place in Arlington? UT Arlington, the Rangers ballpark, Six Flags Over Texas, or the Arlington Courthouse?
Six Flags Over Texas?
Yep, Six Flags Over Texas on there as well. Yep.
Final answer, Six Flags.
Fine, you're just gonna.
I'm just going to go for it. Yeah.
All right, no lifelines?
No.
No. Six Flags it is? You got one. There you
That was my
go.
mom's first job.
Oh, there you go. I thought John Denver was pretty cool, but then when I saw Kelly Clarkson, I was like...
Well, Kelly Clarkson used to live next door to my buddy's mom. When she first started getting big, her first house she bought was out like in Mansfield, Texas. Right next to Arlington. And I remember being over at... in fact, I was just with Sean and Brian, Nicole, and Corey, Nicole down in Texas just recently, and saw their mother. Hadn't seen them forever, but we used to hang out at mom's house and kick the soccer ball over the fence. So we jump over the fence, and so I look through the window.
Kelly Clarkson. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, so the next one, we'll get back to weather events and hail.
Okay.
How many hail events has Arlington, Texas had, according to the Doppler? So how much? So the Doppler radar picks up hail events. So
since the Doppler radar has been,
I would assume it's since the Doppler because it's according to the Doppler, so it's not.
So that's been around since probably what, the 70s or 80s?
Good question. I didn't do that back then. That's for you to know. That's not for me. All right. So is it A, 285, B, 1012, C, 617, or D, 131 hail events since the Doppler radar was running?
D.
D. Any thought or reason behind that one?
Just because I know like that area of Arlington has like
that's the lowest of all.
It's the lowest, and it's been relatively dry, I would say.
Relatively dry. Okay, 131. Final answer. No lifelines. You'll be the first one to go through all this with no lifelines.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. You're right. You got it.
Am I really?
Oh, 2 for 2, man. It's nice when you come off the bat missing one or two, because then I'm not fighting you as hard.
Yeah.
If you get them both, I want you to lose. I don't want you to go all right, because that means I didn't.
You're at least buying lunch, though, right?
Yeah. We'll see. Oh man, well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, awesome. Man. This is an awesome episode. If anybody's trying to get a hold of you at National Claims Advisors, or if they want to work with you but they don't know what you do, maybe tell them why they would get a hold of you and how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so kind of just like we talked about, when an insurance carrier looks at a situation, they're just assessing the risk. Contractor, no disrespect. There's so many of you guys that I know are that could be better PAs and could be attorneys doing this. The knowledge that you guys have is insane because you educate yourselves and you're able to win so mmany victories on your own. And that's what I usually always try to do, is empower the contractors I work with to be able to find victories on their own.
Yeah.
But I do, when it comes to commercial, I think you'd be silly not to be going with the most solid team that you can go with that has, the reputation, the scorecard that, of victories and the amount of victories from the get-go. Because again, with commercial, there's so many things at stake. It's a large ticket item, right? You want that relationship to go well because you want that property owner, manager to be able to instill trust in you, because the only thing they're going to care about is your execution. Are you going to be able to get them the money fast so they can build back without the least amount of business interruption? Those things matter so much. And I know that when our name gets put onto a file, it's a totally different conversation. It's being taken to a totally different adjusters, totally different team. The conversation is completely different. You talk about, holding their feet to, the statutes of limitation. When you have an attorney working the file from the get-go, it's just different, guys. Yeah. And I'd love to hop on a phone call with you or even go onto a project with you. That's another thing that we find so much more success when we go with a team, a solid contractor. When we go to a new commercial lead, we're able to close that and build and ensure that trust fast, really fast, to where the process gets started. We're able to start that clock. So that way we can hold the carrier's feet to the fire. And that sales process is just going to be so much more faster for you. That build process is going to be so much faster. When they say, oh, we're approving X amount of dollars of ACV, well, they're going to release those funds in a timely fashion, or they're going to hear. So we'll put them on notice. They know when we're on a file, it's just a different ballgame, guys. And let's hop on a call.
Perfect. How did they call you? What's your number?
682-412-7216.
Yeah. Better call Cam. There you go. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Thank you.